able to make money without even having my own product. Why? Because I could drive traffic.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another Pioneers Pathway podcast, joined by your two favorite co-hosts, me, Shaurya, and my good friend Liam. How are you doing?
I'm doing really well. How about you, Shaurya? How's everything been going?
Yeah, all well, Liam, all well. We've been, going strong for a few weeks now. I think almost, 6, 7 months we've been, working together on this podcast. How's it been for you so far?
It's been great. Yeah, we've has been 6, 7 months. It's sort of flown by time. But it's been amazing. We've spoken to some amazing people from all different backgrounds, right? Different geographical backgrounds as well, all over the world. And it's been amazing to have those discussions.
Absolutely. And obviously off late, we spoke a little bit about, fitness, keep making sure you're taking care of your health. But now we're taking a different direction today, aren't we? So today we have a very special guest with us, Mr. Daniel Wagner. So he's gonna, talk to us about how to grow your medical practice. So welcome, Daniel. How are you doing?
Hi, well, really, it's so nice to speak to you guys. We had a few minutes before we kicked off, and I'm just so excited to see sorry if I call you young man, but you're in your early 20s, you told me, and starting entrepreneurial journey, I think is one of the best things you can do. It's building sovereignty, making your own path, and entrepreneurship is the way to go. So that's part of what I'm set up to do, is help wellness entrepreneurs to actually build profitable businesses. And it's been really good experience the last few years.
So can you tell us about your journey and how you started, your entrepreneurship journey? I know you mentioned to us before we started recording, you started when you were 21. And just, if you could give us sort of a brief timeline and how you got into wellness and business coaching.
Thank you. So, at my age, when you get asked that question, it could be a long, long answer. So let me just try to pinpoint some highlights. So I guess I became very early aware that I'm not a great employee. I really find it difficult to take direction or orders from somebody that I don't really respect. So sometimes people are in a position of authority without actually having earned the place. So for me, I was very quickly realizing I want to do my own thing. The first thing I did, I sold physical products. As a matter of fact, I was in marketing advertising, and I sold light projectors that projected logos onto the pavement. I thought it was such a great way of marketing. And I literally walked around with one of these projectors on my shoulder, knocking on people's doors and say, look what I can do. I can project your logo on the pavement. Would you like that? Very quickly, I realized that it's a difficult business. The margins were low. I was 21. I was very inexperienced. The next business had a little bit more leverage. So I realized that I loved this idea of projection. So I invented a little system where we used some slide projectors. Sorry, guys, we're going back to the Stone Age where we had slide projectors. And there was one specific slide projector that had a carousel. So you could project on and on and on and on. So we positioned these projectors inside a shop window. We frosted the shop window, and we built a contraption with 2 mirrors. So the light would go through the 2 mirrors and be projected onto the shop window from the inside. And I sold advertising space in the carousel. And believe it or not, it worked. We actually built a business. We had 10 projectors going. I came from a small town in Tyrol in Austria. We had a second location in Vienna at the station. And I really felt like an entrepreneur. We called the company Golden Light. We were very excited. And what we did a few years later, we realized that the margins were low again. Contracts weren't renewed. So I sold that business. So at age 24, I had my first exit. So I sold my business and made actually some money. I sold it as a system. And I think that entrepreneurial lesson will come back. Once you have your own IP, your own intellectual property, it is like property. It is an asset like a physical house. But you can, I've written a few books later. I patented some ideas. I TM'd certain phrases. And that is all counted as an asset, as IP. So we're still in my early 20s. Let me fast track. So what I did after that, I literally started working in IT. I very quickly learned the internet was in its infancy. We're talking in the 90s here, right? 1990s. But I immediately realized there were only four paths to wealth. Either you use the internet, or you use stocks and shares, or you use a traditional business, or you use property or real estate if you're not from the UK. Now, I also became aware that three of those avenues weren't open to me because I had no capital investment. So the internet was my obvious only mountain to climb to actually become free, financially free. And that was always my dream. So to do what I want, I mean, we all work hard as entrepreneurs, or actually most do, but it was just this being responsible for my own outcome. So that was very, very early on. I fast forward yet now. So it is 20 years ago. It was 2005 when I flew to America. And back then, as I said, the internet was in its infancy. The internet marketing was in its infancy. Facebook didn't exist yet. WordPress was version 1.0. Google had just launched AdWords, right? And I was lucky to have a mentor by the name of Frank Kern. You might have heard of him. Frank Kern is a legend in internet marketing space. And somehow I got involved and rolled into a 30-day challenge. And the challenge was to launch an online business. This is June of 2005. And lo and behold, on day 17, I made my first dollar online. I actually sold a PDF, an ebook. Back then, guys, believe it or not, you could sell an ebook for $97, a PDF, right? And I sold someone else's ebook. It was on dog training, believe it or not. And I made affiliate commission. So literally, I was able to make money without even having my own product. Why? Because I could drive traffic. We use Google AdWords. We drove traffic to a page. People bought a product. I got paid commission. So I was super excited. I made $14.28 and I made it while I was asleep. And this is not about the amount, but this is about the mind-blowing moment where I make money while I'm asleep and I know I can scale it. Could I sell 10 of these ebooks? Yes. 100? Yes. 1,000? Yes. Do I need stock? No. So I was like, this is incredible. So within the next 3 months, July, August, September, I built a list of 15,000 people and I had 15,000 audience to speak to. And I realized that, and this is another great lesson that I learned over the last 30 years, there is more value in teaching what you know than doing what you know. So I actually started to do my own first workshop and I called it Make Money Online, very straightforward. And I showed people what I had learned in 30 days. And I had this crazy idea to condense it into one day and to actually make it hands-on. I built a computer network. I borrowed computers from my employer, Hewlett Packard. I wired them all up with a network hub, and people came in, and we actually built a mini website on the day, and we activated Google AdWords. So before you know, I had booked out workshops every few months, and then I just started. What did I charge back then? £297 for a one-day workshop. And people said, come on, you got to charge more. So a year later, it was 497. Then it was 697. Then it was 997. Then I made it a 2-day workshop. Then I created an upsell. Then I created a mentorship program, a coaching program. And that just grew until in 2015, we almost turned over $10 million in revenue. And we had 12 mentors and we had 4,000 students. It just got crazy. But it was always the same principle. Whatever I learned that worked, I then taught and I sold it in different forms. And that's relatively scalable. We had online membership sites in 2007. So what is amazing is that the same principles still work. We got a few more social media channels and other things, but it's still the same. You still have only 3 components. You have traffic, conversion, and delivery. And you just got to watch where do they come from, how do you convert them, and how do you deliver at scale with a margin. So we're almost up to date. Is that interesting, by the way, guys? Or am I rambling?
No, absolutely.
Yes, because you haven't been interrupting me. So that's good.
I think we're in all the story. It's great.
Well, almost there. So 2015 was our biggest year. We had a $1 million weekend, so we literally had almost 1,000 people in the room, and we sold a coaching program. But then in 2017, a couple of major problems happened, and I did sign a non-disclosure agreement in that process of the collapse of the business. In essence, I can't talk about it, but what happened was a court case. I lost the business. I lost the money. I lost my investment properties. I had a divorce, and I started taking drugs. And within a year, I was in depression and burned out. So 2017 was 16, 17, 18, even 19 were really tough years. I had lost all self-belief. My IP was rebranded and used somewhere else, and I felt like a fraud because my story was I'm the Austrian guy who came to England, delivered pizzas for Domino's, and became a millionaire. That was the story. So when the millions were gone, I thought, who am I without the story? And I think that's another really important question as a human, as an entrepreneur. You need to ask yourself, can I separate my business, my success from who I am? I was always a fan of building personal brands. So the interwoven reality that you are the business, it can become dangerous when you start buying into the story that you are the brand, that you are the story. So that actually kicked me off onto a spiritual journey. I had to first repair my inner wounding, and obviously I needed help with the addiction, and I needed help in many other ways. And it was literally a very humble few years. I was just turned 50. My goal was to retire at 50, a multimillionaire, and just do what I thought would be retirement. But very different reality kicked in. So when I gained my health back, I I started to realize that what I'd learned over these last 20 years to make seven figures, eight figures, who could I really help that my knowledge and my experience would be worthwhile? Is it worth just helping somebody selling more gadgets or more widgets of something that no one needs? I did so many types of businesses. And the help I received myself to get back to mental clarity, to emotional stability, to actually even having the desire to start again, they were all alternative health and wellness practitioners. They were things you can't get on the NHS that you have to pay for privately. And I realized there were so many amazing people with incredible skills that could help so many, but they had no idea how to do online business. So the idea grew, and I started coaching them for about 5 years. And I realized that for them, it's not natural for them. Marketing, selling isn't natural. Building websites, connecting autoresponders with tracking and getting Google Analytics, none of that was natural. So they struggled. And I realized also that I helped so many people in different areas. So 2 years ago, 2 years and a bit, I decided to start a new agency. And I actually said, you know what? Coaching is great, but I want to do a done for you service. Let me look at the simplest funnel that I know that's still working after 20 years. Let's forget all the fluff. Let's cut it all down to what I call the digital foundations. And let's find a way we can deliver this at scale to wellness practitioners at a cost, at a price that for them is affordable and still is profitable for us. And that's really what I've been working on. So the Prosperous practice is exactly that. We do a done for you digital foundation. And then after they have the foundation, we give them the key to the castle, and then we show them and teach them how to use this digital foundation. And we have focused on one simple funnel and one single traffic strategy, which is the most beautiful hybrid between free and paid traffic. Free traffic, what you guys are doing, podcasts, content marketing, is a long game. It's beautiful, it's amazing, but it's a long game. Now, if you do it smart, it will pay off, but it's a long game. Paid marketing, unless you have a converting offer, you can lose your shirt on Meta, on TikTok, on Google, on LinkedIn, before you know. So it's not as easy, oh yeah, let's just spend a few £100s on Google. It's not that. You need a well converting offer. So we pioneered a method which takes me all the way back to 2005 when I made my first dollar online. And it includes that affiliate marketing. So that's what we do today. We're a small team. We're helping people all over the world, and that's what we do. And today I got interviewed by two young Indian dudes who seem to be passionate about helping people. All up to today.
Absolutely. I mean, lots of things to unpack there, but I guess starting off, in order, one of the key things that, you mentioned is, the tactics that you're using today, you used them, 20 years back. So it's quite interesting to see because, Daniel Priestley, someone who we mentioned off cameras when I mentioned on the podcast as well, he mentions, the idea of playbooks and how, whilst we are not, taught how to run businesses, they ask, key traits and key activities if you do, engage in that can definitely, help you convert and, gain sales. So, what are your sort of thoughts on that?
Yeah, I know Dan really well. His KPI, I was there when he founded it. We wrote our first book in the same year. He wrote Entrepreneurial Revolution. I wrote Expert Success. His father was my coach for many years, Andrew Priestley, incredible business coach. And I remember when Daniel arrived in the UK, he was still called Triumphant Events before Entrevo, before what he's doing today, right? And I still love what he does. And obviously his business has blown up amazingly. Looking back, he was very strategic. You know, very few people have got the long-term vision that he had. Even his books. Now looking back, you can see they all weave a longer narrative, and they all position him. For myself, I started again and again and again in many different areas, and that's a very costly thing. So if you can, but in truth as well, I didn't have a niche. My niche was making money, right? I just wanted to help people make money, and he focuses immediately on entrepreneurs. So for me, finally focusing on wellness practitioners, newly qualified practitioners is our specialty, but also people who've been going for a while and just can't figure this piece out themselves. That's our demographic niche or our target, our client niche. But also you need to be clear, what is your product? You need a core offer. We've been working now 2 years on distilling this core offer. So you need an audience, you know where they are. So you need to be able to find them. They need to be willing and able to spend money. So many people say, "Oh, I want to help kids." That's a beautiful idea, but unless they have credit cards, how will you transact? How can you actually make money from it? So, audience, offer, and you need to make sure you can deliver what you promise. Otherwise, you are in a dangerous business where you constantly need new people because you don't deliver actual value. So those three components, and it took me every crisis, every success, every failure to finally feel comfortable that this is what I want to do. In truth, you can't just do it for the money. It sounds so, yeah, I'll do it for money, doesn't matter. Then you might as well have a job. If you're an entrepreneur, you better make sure it's something you love doing. And it doesn't mean you need to do. My passion is helping people. My passion is not wellness practitioners, but my personal story led me to do this. You know. So I think what's really important. I'd love to dissect this traffic strategy because having a conversion environment, a website, or a blog, or a social media channel, or a person, whatever it is, there has to be a place where you say to people, take the next step. Give me your credit card for whatever service I provide, whatever value I give. And to be honest, as long as you can solve a problem, answer a question, remove a challenge for someone, people are looking for answers. And they're looking for answers in just a few key areas: wealth, health, relationships. You could put spirituality as a fourth one, but generally it's those three. All the money online is spent on making money, on not losing money, on getting into relationship, getting out of relationships, staying in relationships. It is about health, getting healthy, not losing health, better health, longevity, whatever you may be, and spirituality, the self-development world, the esoteric is huge, huge, huge market, right? So these are where you're looking for achieving transformation. So you need a product or a service that achieves that transformation. And the best one to have is something that you have already experienced. If I have solved an equation, I can then confidently go in the market and say, if you are still stuck here and I got here, let me show you the steps to B, from A to B, right? And that's what that is a core ingredient of success, that you just show what you've done. Whenever I work with people and coach them, we always find the one thing that they've already, and you know what, it might not appear incredibly valuable to you because it was just your journey. But if there are people still stuck on the other side and you can help them and you can figure out or remember what were the steps, you can package that into a method, into a unique framework, into a blueprint, into a system. And people love buying systems. Why? Because it has implicit a guarantee of outcome, a guarantee of success, right? So when people buy my blueprint, when they join us and work with us, they buy it because we can guarantee a delivery in 30 days because we have a process. People pay for that. They pay for speed. They pay for certainty of outcome.
And sorry, so in terms of obviously, yeah, there was a lot to unpack there,
Sorry, guys.
there's always it's amazing. There's so much really interesting stuff. But there's a lot of competition out there because there's with the explosion of internet, with technology, with social media, it's a lot easier for people who want to be these entrepreneurs, who want to give these services, to be able to deliver that. How do you recommend to the people you work with? How do they maintain their competitive edge? Is it about being unique, or is it reinforcing how similar you are to your audience?
Oh, a great question. So let me put your attention onto the world of branding out there in the world. And I always like to use the brand Volkswagen, the Volkswagen Group. In case people don't know, the Volkswagen Group owns Bentley, it owns Skoda, it owns Maybach, it owns, I mean, there are dozens of brands within the Volkswagen Group. And they spend, even Cupra is in there and Seat is in there, right? And every one of these brands, they spend tens of millions. And what does the brand want to do? It wants to resonate with a specific buyer persona. A Cupra, a Barcelona-made Volkswagen Group car, is the sporty, young, wild entrepreneur, right? The whole coloring, everything. The Seat is different. The Skoda is different. The Volkswagen is different. And if you map it out in the sociographic, psychographic world, we have actually a brand is a person. It has personality traits. It has emotional quality, right? So these brands are in competition, but they're also not, right? Somebody who is a Volkswagen buyer, they have self-identified through the qualities of the brand. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
So if we now flip the whole branding and we look at personal brand. So if you, for example, Shoria, Liam, nobody can compete with who you are. So there's zero competition for you. The only thing you need to do, and I make it sound super simple, it's not. You need to work on your two stories. One is the origin story, and one is the transformation story. So what has made you today, like my story I shared, that makes me uniquely qualified to do what I do today. And then my transformation story, again, makes me uniquely qualified to do what I do today. So I would say if you are honestly, openly speaking about your own transformation story and it's real and you've achieved, there's zero competition. It's like frequency. You both guys look like you're, I don't know if you're familiar, I'm assuming now, if you're familiar with the Hindu god universe. Yeah. Are you?
Decently enough.
A little bit, okay.
Yep.
So generally, what the Vedas say, that there are 330 million frequencies. And all of it is God, all of it comes from the Brahman, but every one is a unique frequency. Hanuman, Ganesha, Sita, Rama, all the millions of devas and deities, and Arjun, and the river, and the sun, and, Vayu, and whatever. And what it is, it means that all of them are unique frequencies, and I can focus on that single frequency, and through that frequency, I can go back to the origin. And I see in business, it's exactly the same thing. If you are true to who you are, your unique frequency, unique set of gifts, qualities, characteristics, background, and you're able, this is the hard thing, and you're able to communicate it so that people resonate, then zero competition. Zero. Because You can make $1 million business or $10 million business with a few hundred people. We got 8 billion people and everyone's got problems to solve, right? You don't need to be known. There are many, many multimillionaires that have totally they have no visibility on the internet. There is no need to have a big channel for any of that. I mean, if you want to, you can. Then you're competing in one way. But competition for me is a non-starter. Never look at it. Doesn't interest me. I don't think it exists. It's if you start believing that, then you're working against others. Just swim on, just do your own lane. Stay on your lane. Don't worry about what other people are doing. That's don't know. I don't know if that lands. If you guys know what I mean by that.
No, absolutely. And it's quite, interesting that you mentioned that because there are lots of, healthcare practitioners out there. And, this is, your target audience. These are the guys you're helping. And, their, core competency is helping people again. That's their core role. And maybe, having that business acumen, that's, their strongest suit. But I believe you have a, framework which, helps them, a 5-asset framework. So can you sort of give us a bit more information on that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I just want to make sure that I believe that the professional acumen, the ability to help is a given. So that has to be in place, right? When I work with people, there's an assumption I make that they know what they're doing, that they're good at their trade, right? So that is the assumption. You don't have to be the best at that trade. Let me give you a tiny example from the world of personal branding. I know I'm showing my age now, but Jamie Oliver, when I lived in the UK, Jamie Oliver was a big deal. And Jamie brought out the book called Jamie Does Italian, right? And he says on the first page, I went to Italy, I went to the mamas and the nonnas, the grandmothers, and I just asked for the best recipe and I wrote it in this book. And he said, they're better cooks than me, but he makes the millions. Why? Because he did a TV show. Why? Because he's got personal brand. Why? Because he's got following. And people know him for the school lunch project more than anything else, right? So they know him for an activity which isn't even directly linked to his trade. So you don't have to be the best at what you do. You just got to be good enough, right? So people get obsessed with, I need more qualification, I need more. That's really not the case. You better get better at positioning yourself, at marketing, which simply means how do you appear in the world, in the market, the segment of people that have the problem that you can solve, and then speak to them and invite them into a conversation, right? I'm a great fan of the magnetic marketing approach. I literally see this like when I say to people, think of yourself like a lighthouse. A lighthouse does not go around the island chasing ships. A lighthouse stands in one place and it has one light and it looks like this light is coming on and off. It's not, it's just going round and round. And it is the one core message, it's the core frequency that you stand for, that you need to deliver again and again and again and again. And you don't have to worry about anything but delivering your core message. And then people will come to you when the time is right. I know this sounds like, oh, we're not doing anything. Not true. You are delivering your core frequency. And when the weather is bad and when the ships need help, they will see the light and they will, you don't have to move. If you move, you start again. So stay in your frequency, stay in your lane. That was just a preamble. Let me talk about the assets we're built for people. And the most important thing, Sharia, is that the assets are pretty straightforward. I've built so many funnels in my life. There are complicated ones, there are small ones, big ones. We did webinars. We literally made a lot of money with many different funnels. But the one funnel that I still believe in is what I call a diagnostic funnel. It fits perfectly in the wellness industry, but it works everywhere. So what we are doing, we're building people a simple website. On that website, we use a 9-step framework to tell the story. If you want to look it up, it is a framework called Story Brand. And Story Brand is based on the hero's journey. And the hero's journey, and I'm building a convolution here in my concept, but it's important to understand the hero's journey is the core driver that is an ingredient. Joseph Campbell, he wrote a book called The God with a Thousand Faces. And what he realized is that every religion, every myth, even the non-Abrahamic religions, even some tribal religions, they all follow the same principles. And that is that we are a hero on a journey to liberation, breaking free, fighting enemies. And this same framework is at the core of every successful film we've ever seen. From Lord of the Rings to Star Wars to Harry Potter, you can map out the ingredients. So what we decided to do is that we use that very same hero's journey framework and we tell the story on the website in that way so that our client, who is the hero, I'm not the hero, I'm the guide, right? I'm not the hero. The client is the hero. They are on their own journey of transformation, and I am the mentor, I'm the guide, I'm the helper to say, look, I've been through this. Here are a few steps across the ravine. If you need to go from A to B, let's take step one, let's take step two, let's take step three, and I'll guide you across. So this is number one. We use the Hero's Journey framework as a website framework. People say, what should be on a website? That, okay? The second thing, we invite people into a conversation. That's all. We're using the call funnel. And the call funnel has got hundreds of great advantages. Number one, the best selling is still done one-to-one. Most people I speak to don't have a refined offer. They're not yet sure about to convert, but they can speak to somebody and we can diagnose a problem. It's a very simple framework, a consultant close, diagnostic close framework. You say to people, where are you today? Where do you want to be? What stops you from getting there? Is it okay if I show you what we can do to help you get there? I'm super simplifying it, right? It's a beautiful framework. And we simply say to people, do you want help with that? Do you want help with getting from A to B? So website, calendar, we're using calendar automations. It's obvious, but people don't do it. And we build everything inside a all-in-one software suite. We got a master license to a beautiful all-in-one suite, and we give every one of our clients the same tech stack. Tech stack cohesion is key. You need to weave all these things together. You need to be able to track what's going on. You can't lose a lead. You need to know where your clients are. And we build all this with them within 4 weeks and 3 touch points. And all they need to do is show up for a 90-minute interview, right? And then we come to the hard part, driving traffic. So we're building a conversion environment. I call it the client attraction system. So once that is built, then we need to build the traffic engine. And I'm very happy to tell you the main strategy we use for that we teach.
Can I just there's again a lot to unpack and very there's a lot of I wouldn't say it's theory. There's a lot of experience which has come into framework, right, and personal
Correct.
experience. I wanted to ask a bit more about the types of clients you work with, because obviously in the industry, you have like sole traders, sort of sole people running their own personal brand, and that can vary across different examples. Do you go into each case with a different approach, or is it concrete for every sort of partner you work with?
A great question. So I think it's a good idea if I disclose the secret traffic strategy we use, right?
Okay.
Because that will explain to you. So what we do in the Prosperous practice, this is why you don't see me spend a penny on Facebook ads. That's why you don't see me spend any money on or any time on social media channels. I only do a bit of LinkedIn, and that is mainly testing and experimenting. But we get the odd client here and there. The main thing we do is we call it the partnership profit blueprint. And the assumption here is that there are people out there that have my perfect client. And what I do is I create a partnership with the person who has that client. So I give you a very small example. I worked recently with a breathwork company who educates breathwork facilitators. So that's a very narrow niche. And this company is very successful. They've certified over 3,000 breathwork facilitators. So I literally said to them, hey, I just was curious, what are you doing to help them become successful after the certification? What kind of marketing support do you give them? What kind of business support do you give them? And guess what the answer is? That's not our focus, right? I'm like, great, that's what I thought. So would you be open to me sharing some knowledge with your practitioners and invite them if they wanted to, that I can help them do this and build it with them? We have a done for you solution. And would it be okay if I pay you commission every month from the money they pay me so you have an additional recurring income? What do you think the answer was from this company?
Absolutely, go for it.
Total
Fairly simple,
no-brainer.
right? Yeah,
Win,
yeah.
win, win. So here's a really important key, and if nothing else lands, if you cut out everything and you publish this one thing, this strategy is genius because when do I pay for the client? I pay post sale,
Yeah.
right? So I only pay commission back to the client that has signed up with me. If no one signs up, how much money do I need to send to this partner? Zero.
Nothing.
Yeah.
What if he sends me 1,000? Is it okay to send him 20% back and say thank you? Love it. Yes, yes, please, right? As long as I have scalable delivery, right? There's only three bottlenecks always: traffic, conversion, delivery. Where are you stuck, right? Our delivery is very front loaded. The first month is intense for our team, but I want to create quick successes. It's so important people within the first 30 days have a mind blowing experience of our company. And then we slow it right down and we say, okay, 2 months, we have a 6 month program, right? Month one, we really push hard. And then month 2 to 6, we say, let's slow it down. Now we go into coaching training mode and we show you. And guess which traffic strategy I teach every one of my clients? The partnership blueprint. So we build them an affiliate or referral model inside the software. We build a simple opportunity management Kanban board style. And we ask some of the AI tools, you can use Grok or you can use Claude or you can use ChatGPT, tell them your story and say, who would be perfect partners for me? And then he gives you a list of 100 people, start there. And reach out,
I was
cold
just going to
outreach.
say, no, go ahead, sorry. Go ahead, sorry.
Oh, that's it. Cold outreach,
Yep.
sending them an opportunity to say, hey, here's the problem. Would you like to jump on a 15-minute call? And if they say yes, then you do it. And
I was just going to say, with the example you use, you're already filtering the people who are committed to the cause, right? The people spend a lot of money on these accreditations and these certifications, and when you're partnering with the body which is giving that, you're working with people who want to succeed, and that's quite important because there's a lot of people who will go out there and do these qualifications, but whether they do those qualifications and then turn that into something which is their passion, that's different. And to
it's
market
hard.
yourself, to do that,
It's really hard, Liam, you know, for them to do that. They just learned a very complicated modality.
Yeah.
Now they're asked to start a business, build a website, and there are thousands of options. So I take all the options away. I said, we're building the simplest funnel that's still working after 20 years. We do it for you. We build your site in a specific way, and then I teach you the one strategy. And by the way, it's easy for them to believe in this traffic strategy because they came to me through the very strategy. So they are the proof of the strategy, right?
Yeah.
And here's something really, 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 really important. The people who don't buy, I deliver them incredible value. As a matter of fact, I normally don't sell on these trainings. I provide a training and I don't sell. I just say, here is everything you need to do. But if you want, we can do it for you and do it with you. If you want that, let's have a call, right? And one aspect, trust is the most hard to come by currency in the online world, more and more, right? With AI and all the bullshit and all the scams and all the impersonators and all the people who don't actually know what they're doing and still saying they do. If I get invited into a community where people have just spent 5 grand, 6 grand, 10 grand to achieve a certain accreditation, and the owner of that company brings me in as an expert, as a trusted resource, I don't have any of the suspicion problem because I get brought in. If I get invited into your home, the people who are in your home will assume that I'm your friend, right? Because otherwise I wouldn't sit on your table. So if I'm invited into the community, I've passed a few checkpoints, but for the people listening, it means the guard is down. I'm not, and this is not to be underestimated, the value of this. So the traffic strategy is incredibly simple. And I tell you also how it came about. I told you that in 2005, I made my first dollar online. In 2006, I realized that I could make affiliate commission. That means I get part of the fee a client pays. The key point is the client doesn't pay more, but I get a little recognition back from the company I recommend. Back then, I found a company that built incredible autoresponders. Autoresponders back then were not as many as today. One company called A Weber. They still exist today. And their deal was they pay you 40% lifetime recurring commission. So it is 2005, 19 years later, 20 years later, I'm still receiving commission checks every month from people I introduced back in 2005. Okay. So I know how exciting that is for me. So I want to offer that to my partners. And all I need is 6 to 12 partners and once or twice a year speak to their new cohort of accredited facilitators. That is all you need to build a 7-figure business.
It's an investment at the beginning, but it's something you don't even need to focus on it, right? You maintain it and you work to maintain it, but the hard work's at the beginning, right?
Yes, I mean it's taken me a long time to get to the refinement and the offer and the scalability and the automation, but it's worth building. And also, here's something really important. If you can get your clients into some form, I mean, for example, none of us are gonna unsubscribe from their electricity supplier, right? We're not gonna stop paying rent. All of us are in subscriptions. You might consider leaving Netflix, right? But it's tough. It's a pain of disconnect. So I always try to create a long-term recurring income with my clients. Now, I told you we're running a 6-month program. The big question is what happens after 6 months. After 6 months, and I ask you the question, if I have built your website, you got your database with us, your invoicing system, you got your opportunities, your partnerships, your contracts, and at the end of 6 months, if I say to you, hey, you got multiple options now. Number one, you leave and I save everything and I give it to you. Good luck. Number two, you stay in our keep the system level and you keep the whole system and you just pay us recurring subscription, a lot lower than the current investment. And literally
It's
for
the
one
second option, right?
subscription,
Yeah.
they would
It's
stay. They would stay
it's
for
the second,
years.
yeah.
Ideally, 3, 5 years. Why not? If it works for them, if you're making money. And there's also a level above. I said, look, if you like what we've done for you, we also have a coaching level where I teach you other master classes. A master class on how to build a course, how to create a paid community, how to do this, how to do that, right? If you
But
want to get the paid
I think
traffic.
the important part in all of this, and we've got AI, we've got ChatGPT, we've got all these services, right? And they can do, it does a lot. There's a lot of advice it can give. There's a lot of support. But when it's the personal touch, right? When someone can come and they're dealing with a person, it's not a computer, it's a person who brings the experience. And at what we've discussed about they've bought the experience, but they bought the passion and they bought that story, right? I think that
Yes.
resonates because they know, oh, we can do this as well. It's not impossible. Other people have done it. We can do it as well.
That's a key, the idea that you say I've gone first and I've been, I mean, Donald Miller is one of my marketing coaches and he just says, imagine people stand on one side of the river and they want to get to the other side, right? And you are on the other side and they're just wondering, how can I get across this river? And what you do, you say, follow me, come downstream, walk with me downstream. And downstream, what you'll find, there are 3 large boulders in the river. So all you need to do is step on the first one, then you step on the second one, and then you step on the third one, and then you're on my side, right? And every single one of the websites we build, we talk about the 3 steps across the ravine, right? Across the torrent river. And step one is normally book a call in my diary. And then I ask a few qualifying questions because if I have a qualified person that I speak to, I'll do that all day long, right? And the diagnostic close It's like you would go to a doctor. If you go to a doctor, you would expect him to ask you questions, right? If he says, "Hey, nice to see you, Liam. Here's your prescription," you're like, "Hold on, you didn't even ask me what I need," right? So we're all very familiar with the idea of a diagnostic before we create a prescription. So I always say to my clients, prescription without diagnostic is malpractice. So we need to diagnose, and then if we've done our job right, we offer people a solution we have to come across to the other side of the river, to come across whatever it is they want to overcome. Remember, we're in a transformation business. Everyone is in a transformation business. People don't buy things, they buy the feeling it gives them that things they transform their personality, their individuality. In my case, it's often wellness practitioners because of my experience, and I really feel that our society has got a lot of issues, mental health issues, trauma issues, emotional health issues, and people don't know how to look after themselves. So if I make thousands of wellness practitioners more successful, I reach potentially many, many, many people. And I can do that with a very small business, right? 5 people in my business. I don't want big offices. I want to work from anywhere in the world. And you make a decision what business you're building. I want to build this one to scale and sell. I'm 58. I have a 5 year frame, and I have to build it. Although it is personal brand led at the moment, the better our success stories get, the tighter the processes are, the better the system, the automation, the higher the retention, right? Business value is calculated based on recurring revenue, profitability. So if I can demonstrate high profitability, long stick of existing clients, and I remove myself almost completely from the actual day-to-day business, I got a very sellable business here. And people buy they buy the database, they buy the recurring revenue that's in the business. But that's a decision you make at the beginning almost. Am I building to keep or am I building to sell? Even if you don't sell it, build for sale, I would say, because you have to think differently.
And one thing that we haven't touched on at the minute, but what are some of the common mistakes that you find in practitioners when they come to you in their businesses?
Yeah, I see a lot of issues around the order of things. I people come to me who just spend £2,000, £3,000, £5,000 on a coaching program, how to build a signature program, right? And then they have their signature program and they're like, now what? Right? So it's the order of things. Again, we worked really hard. I mean, sometimes people come to me who have already built a complete website out. They spend 10,000, 15,000, 20,000 pounds on a website. And we literally say to them, leave that to one side. We're going to build your new one alongside. Because I don't even want to go in untangling the mess that they created. They have 60 different products. They got hundreds of landing pages. There is copy. The reality is, if I land on a website, I got 3 to 5 seconds before I leave, if you're lucky. So if I see overwhelm, lots of words, hundreds of pages, I'm like, dude, I'm out of here. Right? If you ever notice how newspapers are written, they start with a big headline. And what is that meant to do? It meant to give you an instant buy-in or gratification if you want to read further. Then there's another paragraph underneath, which is still quite big writing, right? So that's a bit more detail. And if I'm in, then I go to the small print. Then I can read. But most people give you the small print straight away. I'm like, dude, I don't have the time. Actually, not forget the time. Human beings at every moment in time are calculating, is it worth my energy to process the information you're giving me? So sadly, people listening to your podcast, listening to me rambling, might make the same decision. They might say, I don't know if it's worth me listening to this dude because it's not relevant to my situation. So how can we make it relevant? And we make it relevant by speaking to their immediate pain and bringing them in. So major mistake I see is overcomplicated, overblown website. Spending too much time on content creation, social media without knowing how to sell. I see a lot of mistakes in building communities or building courses without any idea of how to actually drive people to buy this. They don't know how to market, they don't know how to sell, and the product is worth nothing. I believe, and you might have heard the same theory, that some of the best inventions that can really save the planet are in somebody's drawer. They're somewhere because people don't know how to get attention to them, or they don't know how to market or how to sell, or they're not viable. So that's it. And also constantly changing, constantly changing. Now I get it. If you haven't found yet your passion, it's okay to change. And then the last thing is that people in the wellness space think they need another certification. Stop. Stop. Go out there and make some people happy. Do something. Help them. You don't need more skills. Your rates are not linked to your skills. Your rates are linked to the position that you have in the marketplace, and you can create your own authority positioning. This is not awarded. Nobody will give you a badge and say expert. It's down to you. You claim a space. You literally put a stake in the ground. You say, here is my space. I am an expert I'm an authority in. Here is proof. I created results. I've written a book. Whatever it is you've done to stake, you need to stake it out yourself. Don't wait for anybody to award you.
Great, Dan. That's been really insightful. So now what me and Liam tend to do is we tend to have a sort of rapid fire section. So I'll
cool.
ask you, a few short questions, and I'll get you to expand on them here and there. So you ready?
Ready.
Okay. One entrepreneur you look up to and why?
This is meant to be a quick answer, right? Yeah. Dan Priestley pops into mind because of his strategic approach and the strong partnerships he's built.
And the best advice you've ever received?
The best advice I've ever received. It's not really advice. It is a person out there that I respect telling me that he believes in me. It is an expansion of my own self-belief. So the best advice is that I received is that I can do it, and it comes with the encouragement, the inspiration that allows me to do more. Yeah.
A business tool you can't live without?
Business tool I can't live without. A business tool. I guess it would be Stripe, to be honest, because they take all the money from me. So I wouldn't live without being able to take the money.
And one word to describe your entrepreneurial journey so far?
Roller coaster. I think that would be one word. Yeah. Absolute roller coaster. Yeah.
Great, Daniel. Thank you so much for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure. Can you tell our listeners more about where they can find your work and how they can reach out to you?
Yes. So you just go to theprosperouspractice.com. It's a bit of a mouthful, but I wanted to have the benefit statement directly in the company name. So theprosperouspractice.com. When you go there, you will see that I want to speak with you. Depending on when you watch this podcast, I might still be doing all these calls myself, or some of my team might take them. But I'd love the opportunity to catch up. If you have experience, if you want to grow your own practice, that would be a good place. And hopefully you use the partnership strategy that I spoke about it today. If you want a bit more help on that, feel free to book a call. Look forward to catching up.
Great, Daniel. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me, guys.